everyone! Welcome back to the Budget Tracker series. In our previous videos, we set up the Net Worth tab and explored the Annual Overview tab. Now, we're getting to the heart of the tracker, the SGD Cashflow tab. This is where the magic happens, where you'll actually record your daily transactions throughout the year. The SGD Cashflow tab is your transaction log for all Singapore dollar transactions. This is where you'll put every income you receive, every expense you make, every transfer between accounts, basically every movement of money in SGD. Each row represents one transaction, and as you fill this all out, all those beautiful charts and summaries in the annual overview, they will automatically update. Now, let me walk you through what you're looking at. At the very top, you'll see currency, showing SGD. This tells you which currency this tab tracks, which is Singapore dollars. Below that, you'll see maintain, showing 0 in blue text. It's because this is an optional field where you can set a target amount you'd like to maintain in your SGD accounts overall. For example, maybe you want to always keep at least $5,000 across all your SGD accounts as a buffer. You can enter 5,000 here as a reminder. This is completely customizable and just for your reference. It doesn't affect any calculations. It simply gives you a visual benchmark to see if you're maintaining the amount you want to keep on hand. You can leave it at 0 if you don't need this feature, or set whatever amount that makes sense for your household. Below that, you'll see total balance, showing 49,500. This is because I have already generated some sample transactions here below. Then below that is the current balance row and the initial balance row. The initial balance pulls directly from your net worth tab. And the current balance automatically calculates based on all your transactions. Now let's look at all these columns across the top. These are your accounts, the same ones you set up in the net worth tab. If you'd remember, we set up DBS multiplier for our debit accounts, the DBS multiplier, POSB savings, bank account 3, and bank account 4. For our credit cards, we set up DBS Women's, OCBC 365, credit card 4. Highlighted in color because to remind us that these are liabilities. And then for our e-wallets, GrabPay, Payla, Shopee Pay, and e-wallet 4. And for our cash, wallet, cash 2, and cash 3. Every transaction you record will affect one or more of these account columns. Now, let's go back to the Net Worth tab and make sure that all our accounts are in this tab. So, DBS, POSB, bank account 3 and 4 for debit. Okay, for credit, DBS Women's, OCBC, credit card 3 and 4. DBS Women's, OCBC, and credit card 4. So now you'll notice that you don't have the credit card 3 that we added in the Net Worth tab. We'll discuss this a little bit more later. On the left side, you'll see the columns where you actually log your transactions. We have the date. This is to record when the transaction happened. The transaction type. It's a drop down where you'll select the type. Income, expense, insurance, and investment or transfer. We'll discuss each one more in depth later. And then income for categorizing income sources, and spending category for categorizing expenses. The column E is called CC, short for credit card, to indicate if a credit card was used. I'll explain more about this later as well. And then we also have the details for adding notes about the transaction. And then all your account columns where you'll enter the amounts. Below the initial balance, notice that the rows are organized by month: January, February, March, and so on. This tracks how much you are spending per account per month, as each month has its own section with multiple blank rows for you to load transactions. As you scroll down, you'll see the months labels: January, then rows below it for transactions, February, then March, until December. This organization helps you keep your transactions organized by month, making it easier to track and review. Now you might notice I have hidden some of the accounts to help keep the view cleaner and make scrolling more manageable. You can do the same. So for now, I just want to focus for, let's say we're in January. So I just want to focus on January. I'll just hide these rows first. So right click and then hide rows. This way you'll only see what's relevant to you without getting overwhelmed by too many rows. Yeah. And also for March, I'll hide this first since we don't need that yet. So this way, I only have January. Now you'll notice that amounts show in different colors. There's green for positive amounts, it means money coming in, and red for negative amounts, money going out. So this is usually expenses, and this are income. This visual cue makes it super easy to see at a glance whether money is flowing in or out. Before we dive into logging transactions, there are a couple of quick customization steps we need to do to make sure all our accounts are synced. So first, if you added any new accounts in the net worth tab, you need to add those columns here too. Remember, like the credit card 3, we need to put it here too. So remember, we put credit card 3 here. So how we'll do that is simply right click and insert column right. So it's important to note to always insert the new column between existing ones, not at the end. This keeps all the formulas working correctly. Then simply copy paste the formula from the left cell and add 1. So D10 plus 1, D11. So now we have credit card 3. So for this one, you'll just simply copy paste this one, and then you have it. And for the current balance and the initial balance, for the initial balance, you do the same, similar to what we did with the header. So copy paste this and simply add 1. So copy paste there. And then for the current balance, you just copy paste simply. And for this one too. So to check, to make sure that we are getting the right cell, we are feeding from the right cell. So credit card 3 should be at D11, and its amount should be, initial balance should be E11, which is D11 and E11. So that's it. Remember how we customize company names in the annual overview? We need to update those here too. So remember how we replaced company 1 with ABC Corporation? So we have to make sure that we replace that also in our SGD Cashflow tab. To do that, simply click on any cell in the income category drop down, then click on this pencil icon to edit. Then replace company 1 with ABC Corporation. Click done, and then apply to all. just simply select ABC Corporation whenever you have income coming from that source. So it's important that you sync and set up this first to ensure that all the drop downs will be updated, so you won't have to manually update it later on. Now when you check the other rows, you will see it in the drop down selection. Just now I noticed that I made a typo in my spelling. So I just corporation. So I just corrected that error to make sure that it gets the right data. Same thing goes for the spending category drop down. Click the drop down below to add or edit or delete any expense categories. So if you change anything in the expense monthly breakdown table in the expense categories, you need to make sure that you also have them in the expense category drop down selection. For this example, I deleted pets in the selection to give you a demonstration on how to add another item. Simply click add another item and then type pets and done and apply to all. So when you go to the SG Cashflow tab, you log a transaction and your expense is, for example, for dog food, then you can log. And then see, it's also in the other rows. And note that if you change categories here, you'll also need to update the monthly summary tabs. So to avoid extra work, I suggest to stick with the default categories if possible. Customization done. Now let's learn how to actually use this tracker. I've included examples in the sheet, rows 21 to 31, so you can see how different transaction types work. So there are 5 main types of transactions you will record. First is income, expense, insurance and investment, transfer between accounts, and credit card payments. Let me show you how to log each one. First, let's dive deep into how to record income transactions. So, I already have an example here, but for this demonstration, I'll do another one so you can see how to log it. So, find a blank row under this January section or whatever month you're tracking. And in the date column, enter the date. So let's say it's January 5. Then in the transaction column, click the drop down and select income. And then in the income category column, select your income source. So for example, it's from ABC Corporation. And then leave the spending category column blank. We don't need this for income. Also skip the CC column or the credit card column. Income does not come through credit cards. And then in the details column, you can add notes like January salary or monthly paycheck. Now in the account where you receive the money, let's say it went into DBS, enter a positive amount. So if your salary is 5,000, type 5,000. Notice how the amount is shown green? That's because it's positive, money coming in. And look up at the top. Your current balance for DBS automatically increased. Now let's record an expense. Say you went grocery shopping for $150. In a new row, enter the date. Let's say it's also January 5. And in the transaction column, select expense. So skip the income category since we don't need this for expense. And in the spending category column, select the appropriate category. So for grocery, I'll select grocery. Now here's where it gets important, the CC column or the credit card column. This is where you indicate if you used a credit card. If you paid with cash, debit card, or e-wallet, you don't need to fill in anything here. Leave this column blank. But if you paid with a credit card, you have to enter the number code. So 1 for DBS Women's, 2 for OCBC 365, 3 for credit card 3, and 4 for credit card 4. So let's say I used credit card 3. So I'll type 3 in the CC column. So why is this important? It's because this CC column feeds into the CC Overview tab, which tracks your credit card usage. If you don't mark this correctly, your credit card tracking won't be accurate. I'll do a separate tutorial for the CC column tab, so stay tuned for that. In the meanwhile, let's go back to the SGD Cashflow tab. So in the details column, you can add specifics like where exactly did you went for grocery. So let's say fair price. Now in the account column, if I pay with credit card 3, I'll go to the credit card 3 column and enter a negative amount. So 150. So see how it shows red? Because that means there's money going out. And notice that credit card 3's balance went down, became negative. That's because I owe more now. So what if I didn't use a credit card? Let's say I paid with my DBS debit card instead. So I would leave this blank and enter 150 in the DBS column. Or if I paid with GrabPay, I'd enter 150 in the e-wallet column in GrabPay. Now, I'll demonstrate how to record insurance and investment transactions. These are contributions to your investments or insurance premiums, money that's building your wealth but isn't a regular expense. So let's say you're contributing $1,000 to your investment account. So like the other transactions, simply input the date, then select insurance and investment in the transaction column. Skip both the income and the spending category columns since you don't need this for investments. And then if you paid with a credit card, mark it in the CC column. If not, skip it. And then in the details column, and add context. Let's say it's a monthly contribution or it's a payment for your AIA insurance. And then enter the negative amount in the account you're paying from. If, let's say I'm paying from DBS, I'll enter negative 1,000. Now for transfers. Transfers are used in two scenarios. First, moving money between your accounts. And second, paying off credit cards. So let's focus first on the moving money between your accounts. So let's say I'm transferring $500 from my DBS account to my Payla account. So like another transaction, you write your date, enter the date, then select transfer in the transaction column, skip income, spending, and CC columns because none of these are needed for transfers. And then in the details column, note what's happening. So let's say I'm top up from DBS to Payla. You need to enter two amounts, a negative amount in the account you're transferring from and a positive amount in the account you're transferring to. So let's say I'm transferring $50 from my DBS multiplier to Payla. So I'll enter negative 50 in the DBS column. And then I'll put a 50, positive 50 in the Payla column. Notice how the total balance at the top doesn't change? That's because you're not gaining or losing money. You're just moving it around. And then also at the column V, you'll see that it totals to zero because it just basically offset from each other. Now for credit card payments. This is a special type of transfer. It's when you pay off your credit card from your bank account. So let's say I'm paying $800 towards OCBC T65 credit card from my DBS multiplier account. I'll enter the date, select transfer, skip the income category column, and in the spending category, I'll select credit card. And this is important for categorizing the payment correctly, especially for the CC overview tab, which we'll discuss later on. And we skip the CC column. This field is not used for credit card payments. And then in the details column, let's add notes. So let's say paid payment for OCBC T65 credit card. And then now we need to enter two amounts, a negative amount and a positive amount. Negative amount in the account you're paying from. So in this case, let's say from DBS, so minus 800. And the positive amount in the credit card you're paying. So 800 to OCBC T65. See what happened? Your DBS balance went down, but your OCBC 365 credit card balance went up. It became zero. It means you now owe less. Now, here's a special scenario. Reimbursable expenses. These are transactions where you spend money now but expect to be reimbursed later. Like paying for a work expense that your company will reimburse, or paying for a friend who will pay you back. So to log these type of transactions, enter the date, select expense in the transaction column, skip the income category column, and then in the spending category column, select for reimbursement. This is a special category that keeps these separate from your regular expenses. Now, if you paid with a credit card, mark it in the CC column. So, for example, I paid with DBS Women's. And then in the details columns, be specific, like work expense to be reimbursed by company or paid for Sarah will be returned. So let's say paid lunch for Sarah. And then enter the negative amount in the account you paid from. So let's say $20 or $25. And then later, when you get that money back, record it as income. So let's say the following day, select income, and then in the income category, select for reimbursement. Then leave the spending in the CC column blank, then add details. So Sarah paid me back. Then enter the positive amount in the account where you received the money. So Sarah paid me back in my POSB savings. Paid 25. This method keeps your actual spending accurate while cleanly tracking money that comes back to you. Now for some tips. If you want to add more rows to log your transactions, remember to always insert rows between existing rows, not at the very bottom, not here, to ensure that all the formulas, conditional formatting, and monthly summaries continue to work correctly. So to add a row, simply right-click, on a row number and select Insert Row Above or Insert Row Below. Oops. Insert there to add more rows. So you can add anywhere in between these rows, but never here or here. Another tip, remember that you can always hide months you're not currently using to keep your view cleaner. Just, right click on those row sections, for example, this one, and hide them. This one also. And also, be consistent with your details. So, if you always shop at fair price, always write it the same way. This makes it easier to search for later. Then also check the monthly summary tabs. So, for example, for January, check the January summary tab to see how your data is being organized. This will help you understand how everything connects. So, I'll dive deeper into this tab later on. I'll create a separate tutorial for this one, so stay tuned for that. So here's what's amazing. Every transaction you enter here automatically flows to the Annual Overview tab, updating your income, expense, and charts. The Monthly Summary tab gives you a detailed breakdown for that month. And the Net Worth tab, updating your current balances. And also the CC Overview tab, which we'll discuss later also, to track your credit card spending. You enter the data once and the entire tracker updates. That's the beauty of the system. Before we wrap up, I want to quickly mention that this tracker also includes a USD Cashflow tab and a PHP Cashflow tab. These tabs work exactly the same way as the SGD Cashflow tab we just covered. If you have transactions in US dollars, log them here in the USD Cashflow tab. If you have transactions in PHP or Philippine pesos, use the PHP Cashflow tab. The layout is identical, the transaction types are the same, and all the same rules apply. The beauty of the system is that even though you're logging transactions in different currencies, everything automatically converts and flows into your net worth and annual overview in Singapore dollars. So you get a complete picture of your finances across all currencies. I know this might seem like a lot at first, but trust me, after logging a week's worth of transactions, it will become second nature. You'll develop a rhythm, and it will take you just a few minutes each day to stay on top of your finances. In the next video, we'll explore the monthly summary tabs, where you can see beautiful visualizations and detailed breakdowns of your spending for each month. You'll see how all these transactions you're logging come together to give you powerful insights. But for now, start practicing. Log today's transactions. Go back and log yesterday's. Get comfortable with the different transaction types. The more you use it, the more natural it will become. And remember, you're not just tracking numbers, you're building awareness. You're becoming a better steward of your money. Every transaction you log is a step toward financial clarity. You can download the SGD only, SGD PHP, or SGD PHP and USD versions of this tracker through the link in the description. Thanks so much for watching.